So look, Cypher put out a video talking about OG Fortnite. I don't have no idea exactly what he's going to be covering in here, but I wanted to have a couple of conversations based upon this video, right? Number one, like we were talking about earlier, I do feel like the topic of OG is kind of played out. Like, I just don't know if people are as passionate about OG. We've been beat over the head with it so much, right? OG is just so saturated within Fortnite now, between there being OG based experiences like Reload or whether you having the full OG mode itself. OG no longer really feels OG. The excitement that and the thrill that used to come from that is gone. And once again, this is something that we talked about on the channel a lot. I told people this is going to happen because when you constantly expose your community to that over and over and over again, it's not going to feel special. What makes things feel special is when you don't have access to them all the time. Now, I want to have a little bit different of a conversation than what we normally do. People know my opinions on OG. I don't think the mode should have been permanent. I think it should have been an LTM. Maybe it comes back once a year or every couple of months or something. That's fine to say, right? We've had that talk. I've said that a lot, but I want to go past that now. Let's look at this from a different angle. If OG is here to stay, which it looks like it will be, right? How do we fix it? How do we make OG better? And past that question, I want to actually look at the future of OG and kind of, one, put down some predictions, but two, kind of give a perspective on what I think the mode should be after we hit Season X. Because that's the thing on a lot of people's minds. What is OG Fortnite going to do after we hit Season X? Are we just going to reset everything all over again? Or are they going to try something new? With what some of the things that we're getting with the storyline right now, it kind of looks like we might be getting something new when it comes to OG. But that being said, I want to react to Cypher's video. Let's get into that. Before we start the video, I want to preface this as well, because this is another point that a lot of people like to bring up. The failure of OG is not because of people's reliance on nostalgia, right? People are like, OG was only good because of nostalgia, and now when you're going and playing an old version of the game, it's ass. That's not completely true. There are a lot of elements of OG Fortnite that I think are better than modern Fortnite if executed properly. The biggest thing is really like bots. If there were no bots in OG, the game would definitely feel far more intense. Or even if it was like 50 or 70% less bots than we have now, right? The game would be just far superior to what it is. The only issue is I don't know if the player base is strong enough to be able to hold lobbies without bots. And that's what's frustrating about it. Anyway, regardless, I think we need to keep the right frame of mind while we're having this conversation. OG is not good just because of people's nostalgia. There are a lot of good elements to OG. And I think an OG based mode can work really well, but there needs to be some tweaks. I will say this. I do think that relying too much on the nostalgic element, like trying to make it too authentic, I think can be a problem. I know a lot of people disagree with that. A lot of people think that it's not authentic enough, and that's the reason why it's failing. No, I disagree. There are a lot of elements of OG Fortnite that just should never come back because they were never intended to stay in the first place. Even when it comes down to the movement was never designed to be the end all be all. Let's look at what the boy Cypher PK has to say about all this.
Time to talk about Fortnite OG. Is it Epic's biggest miss, or is there still potential for this mode to rise up to the numbers that it once had? So
nope.
What went wrong with Fortnite OG? In my opinion, it started in the very beginning, because we started off in Fortnite OG Season 1 for over 60 days. So we were on Fortnite Season 1 OG for a very, very long time, and that is a very boring season. Most of you did not play during that season. Don't lie. All right, it only lasted 40 days.
I did. I'm an OG. I was there. I remember it. Good times. Classic. Back when the game was good, chat, before Epic ruined it. Not really.
Without a lot of the popular guns, without a lot of movements, it just wasn't a great season.
Okay, and real quick, I want to touch on this real quick, too. I know I've said this before, but this is very important, and people need to understand this, okay? When Fortnite first dropped, okay, that very first season, Season 1, Season 0, whatever you want to call it, right? There were content creators at the time that were complaining about how there were not enough healing items. From day one, we knew there were issues with the game. When people want to say like, oh, it was more intense, oh, we need to go back. We didn't want it then. No one wanted to be running around with like 75 HP and like a stack of 2 bandages. But a lot of people agreed, yeah, there needs to be another form of heals other than bandages, med kits, and 50 pots. I remember this one guy talking about how there needs to be like half big pots. Like there needs to be like little mini pots. I think within a month or so we got it. Like I said, the game just was unpolished because they rushed it. They put it out very fast. The thing about it is the concept was good enough to attract a lot of people. I just think that what people need to understand is, and this kind of goes to the nostalgia argument, to be fair. I think to that degree, some people are blinded by nostalgia. And I have a feeling, I wonder, the people that are advocating for some of this stuff, I'm wondering if a lot of them are people that didn't even play the game during that time. Fortnite wasn't popping that first season. It wasn't a crazy, even season 2, when the Black Knight came in, there weren't a lot of people playing the game like that. It wasn't really until season 3 that the game started getting some like mainstream recognition, you know? But I digress.
When it came out, there was like over 1 million players playing Fortnite OG, but quickly it dwindled as the time passed because people just lost interest in the bare bones version of Fortnite.
I think part of it is because it was bare bones. I think the other part of it is because they put too many bots in. I will say this too, to Cypher's point here about playing that first season again. They are so incredibly bare bones. I don't see a problem with going through them, but I think what they should have done was they should have done seasons 1 and 2. It's like a 2-month long thing, right? So season 1 was like maybe 30 days long, and then season 2 would have been 30 days long. Season 3 and 4, those also should have been a couple months long. If they had done that right now, basically we'd be in season 5 onward. And honestly, I'm wondering even then if doing it that way would have been too slow to hold player retention.
Once we get to season 5 to 9, it will be good. BC, the leaks have said they are getting rid of bots and making a casual mode.
Yeah, I know that they're gonna make a casual mode. I did hear about that. I think it was Courage recently that told the story of like how Tim, Ninja, Courage, Cypher, I think they all played together. They had a great time, and they were looking forward to playing the next day. But it was morning of day 2. I think it was Courage that got on, and he noticed how like the majority of the lobbies were all bots. And he went and like sent everybody a message in their group chat. He was like, guys, they ruined it. And like they didn't even get on to stream that day. To me, it's just a very weird mode. And it's the first time in Fortnite history where we've had like 2 BRs running side by side with each other. If you're not counting like builds and 0 builds, right? Like a completely different BR map running side by side with the main map. I don't know. I think that's another thing that kind of hurts it as well. Chapter 6, in my opinion, is far more interesting. Even some of the worst seasons this year, it's just more interesting than OG because it's something new. It's fresh.
That might not seem like a lot, but you guys got to remember most online games out there are struggling to get like 50,000 players. So the fact that just Fortnite OG is getting 100,000 is it's pretty legit. It's pretty legit. There is momentum here.
That's the thing that people need to understand, man. Like the Fortnite community will look at the mode and be like,
Oh, it only has 36,000 players. Oh, the game's for Epic ruined.
the average online PvP game would be lucky to break 10K. Bro, freaking, what is it? The newest version of Halo, I think, is averaging like 2.5 to 3K players right now. Halo would die to have the player count of OG right now. With all due respect to the Fortnite player base, they don't understand what like healthy player numbers are. Like OG's not dead by like traditional gaming standards, but by Fortnite's own metrics, its own insane metrics, it does look dead.
And if they experiment with things like adding the OG siphon onto the game mode, like that could make it go up as well.
Listen to me, okay? Microwave and I had a 2-hour debate about this topic, whether or not Siphon was good for Fortnite. I am personally of the belief that Siphon, anytime it is added to BR, some Siphon-based mechanic, whether that's health regen or health and mats on kill, it makes the gameplay more fun because the player base is more aggressive. You get into fights more consistently. One of the biggest problems with BR in all modes outside of reload and blitz, the fights are too far and few between. The gameplay just drags.
The truth is, with this being the second time OG has returned, and now that it's permanent, I truly do think that a lot of the nostalgia has worn off, and
nostalgia's gone. So wait, real quick, let me say this, because that's a good point. The nostalgia has worn off. That was the point I brought up at the beginning of this, right? Because the nostalgia's worn off, so now what do? Now you have to do something that makes the gameplay insanely compelling to bring people back. In order to do that, you're going to have to try something different. There's got to be like some kind of new gimmick to bring people in. Now, the great thing is seasons 5 through X have a ton of gimmicks that are to get people excited. Like Cypher was saying, I really hope that we go through, get to season 7 and 8, they bring Siphon back. And once again, I know that there are going to be a handful of people, like my boy Microwave, who thinks that it's terrible. It's terrible for the game. It's terrible for the player base because it does make people too aggressive. And so the worst players can't keep up. Once again, I told him Saturday, I think the solution for that is skill-based matchmaking. The skill-based matchmaking needs to be a bit more balanced if you're worried about that. The other half of it too is, this is easy for me to say because I'm not the one to control the Fortnite and looking at the player count numbers when they add something like Siphon in, but it's just like, just get better at the game. Siphon is so rewarding, I think, even for bad players. Like, if I'm a bad player and I'm playing against bots or people of a similar skill level to me, and I'm getting health back every time I get an elim, it makes the elim feel more rewarding. Yeah, sure, if I go up against a player that's better than me, I'm pretty much screwed, but I'm screwed anyway because the player is better than me. Having Siphon doesn't really change that. If anything, Siphon gives me a better chance to stay in the fight, because if we're getting third party and he gets low and I can get a quick shot off on him, I get the Siphon for that. Or if I'm playing squads with my boys, you know, they can get some of these sweats low for me. I can steal the kill, get some Siphon back. I don't know. It's just a solid mechanic for something like Fortnite.
In my opinion, OG Fortnite does not have to follow the same path that it did the first time around.
Thank you. Oh my God. That right there. That's what I was talking about. Do something different with the mode. This idea that OG has to be like the most authentic experience ever, I think is the wrong approach. I think they should do something similar. Actually, they should do a more extreme version of Season OG. This is OG, but different. This is OG, but some things have changed here. Because then what that's going to do is, me as an OG player, I'm going to want to log in and see what the changes are that you made. Like, oh wait, that's in a different position than it was. Like, let me give you an example. Imagine for a moment they took the desert POI, and instead of putting it in the bottom right hand corner, they put it in the top left hand corner and completely remake the entire desert biome, but based on like Pleasant Park and the scrapyard that's over that way. I can't think of the name of it right now, but take those POIs and desertify them to a certain degree. Make a new big POI over there, like change it up a little bit, but still keep some of those core gameplay elements, the core gameplay mechanics from OG. Like another thing too, right? We know that double pump ended in season 5. I hope they keep double pump for all of OG, because that is something that's synonymous with the idea of OG Fortnite. Keep that mechanic in the entire time. I don't need you to cut off the double pump mechanic just because we're entering season 5 now.
Imagine if Clark and High Taper fade.
I'm just gonna take Sean's money and continue to play Cypher's video. Thank you for $2, Sean.
It's because they are doing a live event this season with the rocket ship. I think we'll see if Epic has the balls to rewrite history and make the live event have a different ending.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys, and this is what I'm starting to realize while listening to Cypher. Season 4 really is like a make it or break it season for OG in terms of like direction of where the game can go. There should be a lot of eyeballs on OG this season, just because of this is where the storyline starts, and there's a lot of traction around the storyline right now. If they want to keep the storyline going and make it interesting to where people are excited about it again and excited about OG, this is where they are going to have to make a decision on whether or not they want to change the course of history with this mode. If Epic decide to be bold, like Cypher's saying, and actually change things from season 5 onward, oh man, there's just so much cool stuff that they could do with the mode. Like, there's so much potential there, like a OG reimagined kind of a thing. There's just so much they could do.
Now, I originally had this idea back in
what idea is this, Cypher? Did you steal one of mine? I swear to God.
When season 1 came out of OG, I said they should do all the seasons, you know, 1 through X.
Oh my God. I swear to God, if Cypher says, oh, but we should have a chapter 1 season 11, I swear to God, I'm suing.
I was saying once we reach season X, instead of like going to chapter 2 or restarting or whatever, Fortnite should release a brand new season called season 11.
Cypher, stop watching my content and not give me credit. Okay? That's crazy. Unfreaking believable. Chat. Can you believe he just stole my idea like that? That's actually out of pocket. There will be no, and I got this idea from Clark Clinton Gaming because he comes with the best ideas in the Fortnite community. He won't say that, but it came from me. Okay, I'm joking.
So what would season 11 be? Season 11 would be what if Fortnite never went to chapter 2? You know, what if we stay on chapter 1 map and Fortnite added new POIs, new updates, new guns,
listen, make OG look like chapter 4 did. Use the same like lighting and textures from chapter 4, but put that on the OG map. And like Cypher saying, give us some new POI, a big what if. I honestly have a feeling the Fortnite might do that. Like, what if we didn't have a black hole event to reset everything? If they did that and then they made it to where like the events from chapter 2 happen on the OG map, so Midas, Primal, the alien invasion, right? They do a lot of that stuff, but on the OG, there's a lot of potential for that. That would be sick. But once again, does Epic have the cojones to do that?
New everything, but on this map, right? To give us OG, but in a different flavor. But now I don't even know if that's the play, because by the time we get to all the 10 seasons, like, will there be enough people interested in OG?
We always say, yeah, because the later seasons are more interesting, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be enough to hold players. I really don't. I don't know if people are going to be interested enough in OG long term like that, just because like the gameplay is getting a little bit better. Once again, maybe the player numbers will go up, and I hope that they do. But I don't think that that's enough. I think there has to be a shakeup. Here's the thing. When I compare OG to Chapter 6, there's nothing about OG right now that's really making me want to take time away from Chapter 6 or Reload or Blitz to play OG. And that's because, like, think about it. Each one of those modes that I just mentioned has something special about it that's bringing people in. OG's special thing is, hey, remember this from long ago? But what about all the new players that don't remember that, right? And I guess from their perspective, it's kind of a, what if Fortnite used to be like? And then people would go in and play it. Like, this shit's boring as hell. I'm gonna go back to the NPC superpower fueled chaos that is Fortnite Chapter 6. And I don't blame people for that, right? But there's gotta be something more that is drawing people in. And once again, the idea of reimagining OG, there's, oh man, so much potential with that.
One thing I do want to point out is the live event. There's a screensaver for the live event, a loading screen that shows kind of a different reality of the rocket ship. It could just be for show, like they just put it in. They showed one of the new skins from the battle pass, like they have graffiti on the rocket ship and the visitor standing there like face palming or something. So could that be a tease that this live event that happens is going to be different, that something is going to interrupt the flow of what was supposed to happen?
That's what it's kind of like hinting at. That's why I'm hopeful that this one, the live event will be different, but two, that Epic will take a different direction for OG after season 4. Because there's also that little teaser of the bunkers in OG glowing in Morse code. Things are different this time. Kind of is implying that like they're gonna change things up a little bit. But once again.
And now moving forward, season 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, they're all different. It's a different timeline of the OG map.
Cypher becoming a Fortnite theorist? Honestly, I think that's actually pretty solid. Here's my question. If they end up doing that, was that the plan the entire time? I doubt it. I think Epic is having to mid-course correct a little bit here. If they're gonna do it, this is a smart way to do it. They're gonna, like, what's the point in retelling that same story over again? That's revisiting that story, reliving that story the exact same way is not going to be hype the second time around, even for people that didn't experience it the first time. Like, people have to understand that part of the reason why these events were so exciting back in the day is because we didn't know what was going to happen. Everything was new. We were seeing the storyline happen in real time, right? We were experiencing it all for the first time. Rewatching the story again, it's not as exciting. I'm just gonna be real. I don't think it's even for people that would say it's exciting for them, it's not gonna be as exciting as it was the first time around. Because once again, you had no context to what the hell was happening. You had no idea who the 7 were. You didn't know who the Imagined Order were. Now that we have all of this knowledge in the back of our minds, we're like, okay, we're wondering, when are these characters gonna start popping up? Oh yeah, they're gonna pop up in season 5, season 6. Yeah. They go the route of, okay, we're just gonna take everything and remix it. That can get people excited all over again. I will say this too, right? Fortnite content for a lot of us was on a decline, right? But once these new storyline teasers started coming in, certain content creators' content started shooting up. That shows that like Fortnite has a hardcore, dedicated fan base of storyline lovers that enjoy this game and love to play this game. They're sitting here on standby waiting for us to get a new reason to get invested in the story all over again with the characters that we came to love from the Donald Mustard era. If they want to capitalize on that hype, they're going to need to do something different. It cannot be the same.
I think that's the way we can get OG up to reach the numbers that it can potentially get.
Here's the thing too. I don't think it's just OG either. I think it would just generate more hype for Fortnite overall. Like if you've got OG going gangbusters like this alongside main Fortnite. You can also figure out a way to tie the OG storyline into the main storyline. And the way you do that is with the last reality, right? Like making the OG island some kind of purgatory for the 7 and them having to relive all their, these old moments all over again. I think that would be really sick. Like if OG ended up being some kind of last reality experiment, they're putting everybody through this fake loop over and over and over again. That would be an insane plot twist.
Fortnite has revealed, or leakers have found out, that Fortnite is working on a casual mode for OG, and I'm assuming they're going to test it on OG. As you can see, there's bots everywhere, right?
If they do a casual mode for OG, part of the purpose for that could be, in essence, making it like a storyline mode. And once again, if they go through this reimagining idea, right, they could add NPCs on the map that have dialogue, special interactions with characters. If you've got certain cosmetics, and they can tell the story, they can really hone in on the storyline through that casual mode. Because it's just bots. We've been asking for a storyline-based mode in Fortnite for such a long time. OG could be the vehicle for that.
Because if you remember when OG first came out, there was no bots, and that was like a big selling point that Fortnite had. But then they kind of had to add the bots.
I honestly, here's another thing I want to say too, right? Because like looking at Tim the Tap Man and see him talk about Fortnite and stuff recently, as on his own videos and streams, I think that having an OG mode once again without the bots, like you got the one for the bots, and then your main OG mode is non-bots, right? Or the least amount of bots possible. I think content creators that are outside of the Fortnite sphere would be more, and like people that used to play Fortnite back in the day, like that was their main source of content. I honestly think that you would have a better chance of them coming back and playing again if you actually make the mode competitive. Remember, that's the reason why a lot of those guys stepped away. It got flooded with bots. The intensity just was not there. The crappy part is, like, even when I play, I only got to play, I think, a couple of, like, for an hour and a half of, like, original OG. Like, by the time I jumped back on the game, like, it was just all bots by that point. Or mostly bots. It sucked. Point is, they need to figure out how to bring like Fortnite adjacent or BR like old Fortnite content creators. They need to like soup up this mode to bring those old creators back. And once again, make it compelling for them to want to continue to play. And you do that once again through the storytelling, so those people will want to come back and see what's different. Plus, there's no bots, and they can play in a more competitive environment with their friends and get content out of it. That's huge. I think those are some good points made by Cypher. I don't know. Like I said, the OG, there's a lot of work that needs to be done to get people excited about it, but I think that's the blueprint. Change it up, man. Like I said, if you are gonna make it a permanent mode, there has to be something about it that really makes it stand out to make people want to come back and check it out consistently. Because I honestly think that the idea of making it like ultra authentic, like there's a certain level of authenticity you want to keep, right? Like you do want it to feel like you're playing on that map. But at the same time, the problem with leaning on authenticity too much, you can never recreate it because once again, I know people hate it when I say this, but the player base is just too good. The biggest thing that made OG feel like what it was is nobody knew what was going on. Nobody really knew how to play the game. We didn't understand, metas. We had never seen a game like this before that was being updated this frequently. Then they added this storyline element to it. We didn't know what was going on with this. Like there was a lot of stuff to add to the hype every single week with OG Fortnite. It's not like that now because we know what to expect, and two, the player base is too good. The best thing to do with OG is to make it OG inspired. Let's see, and you can lean on those OG vibes super hard, but it needs to be OG with a modern Fortnite context on it. Doesn't mean that it has to be, collabs and everything just all over the place. But like, for example, even if in future seasons they brought the block back, right? They don't even have to put the block in the same spot, but like they bring like that interactivity with the community back to in some kind of way. Even something like that would make the mode just more exciting overall. To wrap this whole thing up, I think it's more impactful for the player base to have something that's OG inspired. So a lot of the elements of OG, like the best elements of OG, while also creating something new that feels a bit more cohesive with modern Fortnite. That's just how I look at it.